403. Today I'm going to talk about Socratic seminars. I will start by explaining what a Socratic seminar is, what it looks like, the 4 elements of Socratic seminars, and the 9 rules. Then I will talk about the process and show an example of a Socratic seminar in action. After that, I will discuss when the activity is used. And next, I will present a method for assessing a seminar. And last, I will close with some pros and cons of Socratic seminar. So first of all, what is it? Socratic seminar is an inquiry-based teaching activity where students read and study a text and then briefly prepare to discuss their thoughts in a formal setting. The materials studied can also be a video, graph, song, photo, or work of art. The discussion is facilitated by the teacher, and the goal is to use open-ended questions to steer the conversation towards big ideas in learning. The intention of the lesson is for students to construct deeper understandings through collaborative conversation with their peers. The activity has specific designs and rules to better the chances for student learning. So what does it look like? Two commonly used seating designs are the standard 1-circle design and the 2-circle coach-player arrangement. In the single circle, students are seated in a large circle facing inward. This is done to facilitate easy communication by allowing students to make eye contact with anyone in the circle. Also, when facing each other, it is easier to hear what peers are saying. In the 2-circle design, students are sat in a small inner ring surrounded by the larger outer ring of students. The inner ring are called the players, the ones who speak, and the outer ring are coaches, and those are students that take notes, watch the procedures, and encourage the speakers. They're there to basically kind of evaluate the process, and then each coach is assigned one player. All right, some caution points here. This seating arrangement is the most conducive arrangement for student conversation. So those rules must be established, taught, and posted before transitioning to this activity. And I'll talk about those rules here in a minute, a couple slides later. Also, teachers should identify students that are unproductive when they're together and remember to sit them apart. It is important to leave adequate space for students to take notes in front of them on their lap, in a notebook. Electronic screens should not be used because of the opportunity for distraction. And students will also need a copy of the text to reference during the discussion. Okay, so now that we know what one kind of looks like, let's talk about the 4 interconnected elements of Socratic seminar. The first element is that it is a text-based conversation. Text can be drawn from literature, history, science, math, health. You can also use videos or pieces of music. The second element is the question. Each seminar is started with an open-ended question. The leader should be curious about the question. The question really doesn't have any single right answer. It encourages students to expand on big ideas and best addressed by referring to the text. It is also important for the teacher / leader of the seminar to use Socratic questioning strategies that focus on words, thoughts, ideas, and questions that students contribute as they explore ideas. Which brings us to the third element, which is the dual role of the teacher that facilitates and participates in the discussion. The leader as participant is there to model habits of mind and thoughtfulness. This shows students critical reading and critical thinking skills. This is challenging because the leader must also facilitate by following up on statements that get no response, drawing out students' own ideas and beliefs, while assessing and calling out conversation dominators and opinion restaters, those that just keep restating opinions over and over again. They have to be kind of stopped from doing that. And then the last element is the participants that give life to the discussion. Students learn to read closely, listen actively, and speak clearly, and think creatively by participating in the seminar. And these seminars also teach them civility. So the rules I was talking about earlier, these are the most kind of assimilated these from a few readings and videos. These are the most common rules. So you'd use these to make the Socratic seminar more productive. And so these 9 specific rules guide the process. So number 1, students need to speak so everyone can hear them. And 2, listen closely when someone else is speaking. In this environment, students should not raise their hands to speak, but only one person should be speaking at a time. Students need to refer to the text and address the topic. The digressions have to be discouraged. When speaking, students must talk to each other or the center of the circle, not the instructor, and they should also address each other by name. When they're unclear about an idea, students should ask other students for clarification. Students should invite others to speak as well as allowing others to speak. And because it's important that many people get to speak. Students, while they may not agree with them, should consider all viewpoints and ideas and respect the opinions of others. And then last, they should understand that the quality of the seminar is the student's responsibility. So they are responsible for the quality of the seminar. All right, moving on. Before starting the discussion, students should be given a copy of the grading rubric as pictured here so they know what is expected of them. Also, it is suggested that students pick 2 to 3 specific improvement goals that align with the rubric, such as, like making eye contact or speaking concisely. So they pick a couple goals of skills that they would like to improve upon. A little technical difficulty here. All right. Important here, before starting the seminar, the rules should be posted and students must understand them before they move into the circles. You don't just want to turn them loose before they get the rules. All students participating in the seminar must have read the text, watched the video, listened to the song, or studied whatever medium you gave them to reflect upon and discuss. And students who have not done this must stay out of the circle. It is a good idea, though, to give these students a task to complete. This could be tallying types of questions or silent reading, taking notes, and so on. For a productive seminar, it is recommended to give 24 hours for students to prep, especially those students who are participating in a Socratic seminar the first few times. As well, as students should be given 2 to 4 minutes before the seminar to pair share, where they ask questions they have about the text or rubric, talk about stuff they didn't get, talk about what ideas are exciting to them. That's one that I guess they really like. Or identify what things they definitely want to discuss today. So before getting started, let's go over this checklist, kind of summary of what we've talked about. You've got your rules posted and explained. Seats are arranged in a circle. Students have read, viewed, or listened to the material. Students have a copy of the text, the rubric, and a notebook. Students have finished 2 to 4 minutes of pair share. A teacher has his or her evaluation sheet ready. And the teacher has prepared the first questions and has backup questions ready. So now that we're ready to start the seminar, I've got a video for you to watch here. Before you watch it, just notice in this video that students were not tying into a text, because this was not actually, a typical Socratic seminar. The teacher set this one up to check students' listening and speaking skills, but it gives you the basic idea of what one looks like in action. And I'm only going to show it from just a minute or so of it for the sake of time. The teacher does give a good explanation if you want to watch this video after the presentation of what he's doing there and why he's doing it. Let me get to that video here. Okay, here we go. This is some students in Socratic seminar.
This is your lady, you gotta help her, you gotta like support her and stuff, in ways that she can't. You have to do what you can to do to help her.
So he's a supporter, like
yeah. They're both supporting to help, build up a future for the kids before, themselves even.
Both of man and woman could have a job.
Yeah, both of them can have a job, but I'm not saying
So the only difference is
what the job is. The guy can have a really tough job, and the girl, for her, it can be tough, but for her, she's like more accustomed to this job than the guy.
they're both supporting.
Yeah, they're both supporting the family in their own way.
like my mom, she works inside of the office and my dad works outside with heavy equipment, and my mom wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, my parents are opposite. My mom, she works in packing stuff. My dad is a supervisor. He does all the heavy stuff, and he supervises all the stuff. So she can do it for her. Like down to his office. So.
Okay, so I'm transgender role because they make a person like full potential because like somebody like they're forced to ignore their personality traits and characteristics. Just transgender role some could be like make lots of money doing a job, but maybe it's like considered like a man job that they might want to do it instead that's money.
Very true. Like me personally, I like to really playful, and I just want to do everything they want to do. Like not to say, oh yeah, I'm doing this. They should feel like they can do everything as well.
Okay, I think that's enough to give you the general idea. So what also was going on there is they had little dinosaurs on the desk, and the teacher would come around and drop a dinosaur in the cup when they had made a good contribution to the discussion. So that's one way that he was assessing and scoring. He drops those dinosaurs in the cup when the students make a good contribution. So now that we've seen what a Socratic seminar looks like, I'm going to talk about why we would use it. Socratic seminar is useful because it gives students an opportunity to hear each other's ideas, view things from different perspectives, and explore new thoughts. Students gain a deeper understanding and build stronger connections to the big ideas in learning through collaboration and dialogue with peers. It teaches them to communicate differing views and understandings in a civil manner, and students take the activity seriously. Kids like to talk. This gives them a space to do that. Most kids like to talk, I should say. And then last, opinions can change because of the exchange of ideas and civil dialogue. All right, next, when is a Socratic seminar used? So in my research, I found the most common and effective time to use Socratic seminar is when you're teaching ethics, literature, or history. But I found a couple good articles about using the Socratic seminar in math and in science like biology. So many teachers use it to analyze scientific data. It's very useful to see how well students interpret data on graphs. So in this scenario, which is science, the teacher asks 3 levels of questions. The first level is a literal question. She asks, what does the data show? She asks questions to elicit the understanding of the structure of the data. The second level is interpretive. She asks, what does the data mean? And this is to elicit understanding of the implications of the data. The third level is evaluation. She asks students, how might this apply to you? So it's to get them to connect that to something in their life. And last, the teacher debriefs the students by asking if they have a better understanding. Mathematics teachers use Socratic seminar like a new problem on which to apply previously learned concepts. The teacher asks questions to guide the discussion to the subject matter and uses questions to clarify and extend students' thinking. He ends with closure and anticipation for what is next. He allows them to settle points of disagreement amongst themselves. An example would be giving the students a series of nonlinear graphs and asking them to decide which one shows the function of a person swinging or person on a swing, and then explain to each other why their choice is correct to their peers. During that process, a teacher can listen and see what things students do not understand. A lot of times you don't hear that in math. Then you may hear, wow, they really didn't get this. So it's a good opportunity for that stuff to come to light in math. Overall, Socratic seminar can be used in many subjects and scenarios where you want your students to engage with the material in a way that stimulates higher order thinking. Next, how do we assess it? So Socratic seminars don't just stimulate higher order thinking, they also give the teacher a chance to assess some of the skills that are difficult to measure on standard written tests. So since you as a teacher are using this seminar to access higher order thinking, it must have a definite purpose. In other words, before you create the questions or decide on the material that will be used, you should identify what behaviors the students are expected to exhibit. An example would be if you're assessing speaking and listening skills. Like the teacher in the video, you'll want to break these large skills into smaller tasks, such as speaks clearly in an appropriate volume, speaks in turn, uses sound logic to support his or her claim, so on. After you've identified those tasks, you can codify them. And this sheet on this slide is an example of a way to keep track of scoring while the seminar is live. So this is used while students are talking. So each line right here, moving out from the circle, you put the student's name, and this would be handwritten because you're using it live during the activity. I've typed it in for ease of reading. And then on the flat line, you observe when you observe a student participating, you put a tally mark here and then a slash, and then all those tasks that you coded on the key here, you would put underneath that observation to represent what the student did. So this is one participation event. C, it was a clarifying statement. Student again participated, it did a meaningful question. And then in this one, notice they participated and they used evidence from the text and they built on another student's idea. So you can use more than one code under here to represent what the student did. All right, so the data from this sheet can be added to a larger rubric, as seen earlier. You could qualify your rubric into, quantify how many of each type of code response they made. You could do something like that. And also, this sheet can be posted. Students like to see it posted, especially if they're using their goals to see how they did in that seminar and where they can improve. So this is a good communicator of expectations and kind of an example for how they can meet those expectations. And then a variant of this sheet could also be used for peers to assess each other in the coach and player seminar design. So you could, give students a copy of this as well. Or a variant of that. It wouldn't be that exact copy. All right, so to close out this presentation, I will talk briefly about the pros and cons of Socratic seminar. So Socratic seminars stimulate higher order thinking, collaboration, and complex problem solving skills. And I did kind of talk about this in the why we use it side. It allows students to collectively make meaning of text and materials, but this will only happen if the teacher plans the activity out with specific goals and rules. This can be demanding for that teacher. It is also equally demanding in that the teacher must play the roles of facilitator, participant, and assessor during the activity. However, when the teacher masters these roles, they find that the quality of assessments of higher order thinking is often better than written assessments. Also, it is likely that student misconceptions that were previously hidden are illuminated in the seminar. Seminars require speaking in turn, respect for other viewpoints, and evidence-based claims, all of which are aspects of civil communication. Students like to talk, and this gives them a place to practice verbal interaction. However, some students may be uncomfortable speaking in a group environment, and the discomfort they feel may prevent them from scoring well on the activity. The Socratic seminar is limited in that most class sizes are larger than the recommendation for maximum participants. According to my research, groups larger than 20 should be broken into the coach and player two-circle design. Otherwise, this discussion gets out of control and takes too long to develop. So imagine if 30 kids in a group spoke for 1 minute each, that would leave about 10 minutes of class time to finish the discussion. So there's just not enough time to do large groups, and it's not really controllable in a large group. And then last, when students get on board and buy into Socratic seminar, they take it seriously and they get excited about it. Most of those students in the video we watched were engaged, but it usually takes 2 to 3 practice seminars for them to be effective. And the teacher really has to make sure those go well, or the students can lose interest. So just some things to consider there. A lot of pros, some cons. I think the pros outweigh the cons in certain situations. And overall, I think I would probably use it, like I said, given in certain contexts. So anyway, that's the end of my presentation. I thank you all for taking the time to listen.